Accompanied by his rockbrow squig companion Clonk, Zogrog Anvil Smasher commands the power of Gorkamorka. The weapons of nearby Aurochs are bolstered until they glow green hot with raging wah. Hello there, in this video we'll be showing you how to paint your Zogrog Anvil Smasher and get him on the gaming board in no time at all. We'll also show you how to paint his not so trusty Rockbrow Squig companion as well. All the paints you'll need for this guide are on the screen now. Remember that these are our suggestions and that you can paint your miniatures however you like. Also on screen now is any additional equipment we've used. This includes brushes and mediums. However, please use whatever brushes you're most comfortable with. And if you don't have mediums at home, you could use water instead. For this video, we've undercoated Zogrog Anvil Smasher with Wraithbone spray. This is because it has a slight warm yellow tone that will help with using our green and yellow contrast paints in the video. We have then undercoated Clonk with Grey Sear. We've got a pot of Wraithbone and Grey Sear to hand, just in case we make any mistakes or spills and need to fix them. So let's use our WAH energy and get painting. For our first paint, we'll be using Gut Ripper Flesh straight from the pot and apply it over the skin areas using a small base brush. We're doing the skin first as it is the deepest detail on the model and thus will mean that we won't have to worry about being neat later on trying to paint the skin after the other details. Get a load of contrast on your brush and apply it all over the skin, making sure to keep the paint moving. If you see it pooling anywhere, just dry off your brush and collect the excess with the bristles and reapply it elsewhere. With the skin finished, we're on our way with Zogrog. We're now going to use Black Templar to pick out all the black details on the model. We'll be using a medium layer brush for this. We're looking to pick out his trousers, face armor, teeth, and his nails. It's time to pick out the apron, pouches, and some of the straps with Doom Bull Brown. We'll be using a small base brush for these details. Remember to thin out Doom Bull Brown with a little bit of water on your palette before applying it onto the details. Once the first coat is dry, come back and do a second coat so you can get good coverage. If you find that you need to do another, just repeat the process once the second coat is dry. With those details picked out, Zogrog Anvil Smasher is really starting to come together. We're going to now use Cygor Brown and a medium layer brush just to pick out the dark wood of the hammer shaft. Be careful when going around your previously painted details. If you make a mistake here, then just cover back up with Wraithbone and reapply Gut Ripper Flesh or Black Legion if you need to. We now need to pick out all of the light brown details such as the armor straps and ribbons that we can see. For this, we'll use Rakarth Flesh and a medium layer brush. As always, thin out your paint with a little bit of water before applying it to the model. Multiple thin coats are better than one thick coat, so don't worry if the paint doesn't cover well with the first coat. Just take your time going around the previously painted details to try and avoid making any mistakes. If you do, just tidy back up with the previous colors. It's time to pick out the teeth and eyes using Wraithbone. We'll be using a small layer brush for this. Take your time doing these details. A good tip here is to hold your breath if you can, in order to steady your hand before placing the paint onto the details. And there we go, the eyes and the teeth have been picked out and look great. Time for our first metallic stage. We're going to use Iron Warriors for all of our dark silver details that we can see on the model. Make your way around the miniature picking these out. If you need any help where these are, remember to check out the box art. We're going to pick out the chainmail, the plate armor on his arms and his left leg, the weapons and tools, rivets and the chain that the cauldron is attached to. For our second metallic, we'll use Balthazar Gold to pick out all of the dark gold metals. We're going to be using a medium layer brush for these details. As always, remember to thin out your paint with a little bit of water before applying it to the model. And there we go, all the metallic details are done. Remember to change your water before carrying on as you don't want to get any metallic flakes into the rest of your paints. For this model, we'll be using Bad Moon Yellow. We want a really nice and bright yellow that stands out against the rest of the details. We'll be using Bad Moon Yellow straight from the pot and applying it over the large plate armor sections with a small base brush. When you've picked out the large plate armor areas, look for the jagged armor attached to the vambraces and then pick out the flame from the cauldron. Take your time when doing these areas. If you make a mistake, just tidy back up with the previous colors. With Bad Moon Yellow applied, Zogrog has come to life and looks awesome. Just a few more paints to go. We're now going to use Blood Angel's Red to pick out his eye as well as the flames. When doing the eye, we'll be applying it straight from the pot and using a medium layer brush. Once we're done with the eye, we need to then pick out the red flaming effect, and to do this, we'll use Blood Angel's Red in two different ways. Firstly, we'll mix it with contrast medium and apply it over the majority of the flame, leaving Bad Moon Yellow towards the bottom section. We're doing a 2-to-1 mix of contrast medium to Blood Angel's Red. Once this has dried, we'll then use Blood Angel's Red straight from the pot and apply it to the upper sections of the flame, showing where the flames are coolest. And there we go, with the eye and the flames done, all that's left to do are the shades. For our first shade, we'll be using Cassandora Yellow and a small base brush. We're looking to pick out all of the yellow armor sections and applying the shade all over them. When doing this, just look out for any pooling. If you see that, dry off your brush and soak up the excess with the dry bristles. With that shade applied, our yellow armor has a lot more depth to it. We're now going to use Agrak's Earth Shade and a medium layer brush to pick out all of the leather, cloth and chainmail. Same thing as before, we just need to look out for any pooling, and if we notice any, we're just going to soak them up with the dry bristles. For our last shade, we're going to use Nuln Oil with a medium layer brush and apply it over the metals and into the facial recesses. Just take your time applying it into all the recesses of the face. If you notice any heavy pooling anywhere, as always, just soak it back up with the dry bristles. We're now going to focus on painting Clonk, the rock brow squig. We've done this separately to make it easier to follow along with the painting stages. Okay, let's get started then and get some Blood Angel's Red onto our squig. We're taking Blood Angel's Red straight from the pot and using a medium layer brush to paint all over the skin. Blood Angel's Red is a really fantastic red contrast paint and covers over the grey seer base very nicely. We'll now be picking out all of the scales using Black Legion. Carefully make your way around the details and try not to get Black Legion onto the red skin. If you do, just tidy back up with Grey Seer and then Blood Angel's Red. Okay, it's time to pick out the lips using Pink Horror and a medium layer brush. Carefully make your way around the red skin details. We're only picking out the bottom lips for a specific reason here. If we do the top as well, it would look like our squig is wearing lipstick. So just keeping the lighter paint to the bottom will sell the effect better of overlapping lips. We're going to be doing the teeth and eyes next, and for this we'll be using Corax White and a medium layer brush. We'll just make our way around the teeth, picking them all out. Once we're done with that, just remember to pick out the eyeballs with thinned Corax White. It's time to use Bad Moon Yellow straight from the pot to paint over the eyes, giving them an evil yellow glow. With that done, Clonk is almost complete. We'll now use Balthasar Gold and a medium layer brush to pick out the metal tail ring that we can see on Clonk. Just take your time when doing this and try not to get any of the Balthasar Gold onto the red skin. If you do, just tidy back up with Grey Seer and then reapply Blood Angel's Red. We'll now wash the red skin and lips with Caraberg Crimson and a small base brush. Just try to avoid getting it on the white teeth. For our next shade paint, we're going to use non-oil and a medium layer brush. We're going to use it in two ways here. Firstly, we're going to apply it into the recesses of the teeth, keeping it off the tops so they stand out a bit. And then we're going to apply it all over the metallic ring. If you make a mistake here on the teeth, all you'll need to do is just go back over them with Corax White. And there we go, both Zogrog and Will Smasher and his Rockbrow Squig Clonk are fully battle ready. We're now going to show you how to take Zogrog up a level if you wish to. For this, we'll be focusing on his armor. We'll need a couple of extra paints and they're on the screen now. Remember that you don't have to do this, but if you do fancy it, let's just jump straight in. So we're going to take the yellow armor to the next level because we think that this element will really make the model pop nicely on the gaming board. In order to do this, we'll be using Dawn Yellow to edge highlight all the raised sections of the armor. Remember to get some water onto your palette to thin out your Dawn Yellow to make it easier to apply. We'll be using a medium layer brush for this. Take your time moving around the model, picking out the raised areas. If you make a mistake here, just tidy back up with the previous colors. These are Wraithbone, Bad Moon Yellow, and finally Cassandora Yellow. Because Dawn Yellow is so nice and bright, it really makes our yellow armor stand out and look awesome. Now that we've highlighted all the yellow armor and have our edge highlight lines, we're going to add some chipping to them. For this, we'll be using a small layer brush and Rhinox hide. So let's get some Rhinox hide onto our palette and thin it out with a little bit of water so it flows nicely off our brush. Then we'll make our way around the yellow armor, stippling dots and scratches within the Dawn Yellow highlights that we've done. The trick here to making it work and really stand out is to keep the dots and scratches small and therefore in scale with the armor and miniature. Another tip would be to concentrate our marks towards areas that we think would get the most wear and tear. So these would be the edges and corners of the armor. With that complete, we've taken our yellow armor to the next level. And there we go, our Zogrog Anvil Smasher looks awesome and ready to stomp onto the battlefield to crush all those who stand before him. For more tutorials, tips and tricks, you can head to your local Warhammer store where our amazing staff will be happy to help. Or you can go check out citadelcolor.com. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this video and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!